Am I the a-hole for refusing to wake up my husband when my parents visited and kicking them out when they insisted? I'm using a throwaway because I keep my personal life private and some of my coworkers follow my main. I'll try to keep this as anonymous as possible, but I'd really appreciate outside perspectives. I've been spiraling since this happened. So, for context, my husband, 29M, and I, 29F, have been married for 5 years now, and I'm currently 6 months pregnant with our first child. We've always had a strong, respectful partnership, one built on teamwork, communication, and love. He's always been incredibly supportive and hands-on, especially around the house. But these past few weeks have pushed him to his absolute limits. About 3 weeks ago, something went seriously wrong at my husband's company. A mistake, massive in scale, somewhere in a department he doesn't even work in, snowballed into a potential $50 million loss. Even though he and his team weren't the cause, they were pulled in to clean up the mess. Ever since, it's been all hands on deck. He's been working 18-hour days, sometimes not coming home at all. Just staying at the office, sleeping in chairs, catching a nap on a break room couch, and going back to it. When he does come home, it's typically around 2 or 3 a.m. He drags himself in, completely drained, eats, if he doesn't pass out in the middle of the meal, showers, and collapses into bed. He's so out of it sometimes, I found him asleep on the floor with the water still running or at the dining table with food untouched. I've never seen him this exhausted. I've done everything I can to support him, taking over all house chores, prepping meals, keeping things quiet and peaceful at home. This man has been running on fumes, and I've been silently counting down the days until he'd get a break, just for the sake of his health and sanity. 2 nights ago, he came home earlier than usual, around midnight. I was alarmed, thinking something was wrong. But the moment he stepped through the door, I saw him smile. Really smile. He looked half dead, sure, but he told me the project was done. They'd fixed the crisis, the company was stable, and their boss had rewarded them with a few days off. He was off until next Tuesday. He ate, showered, and practically melted into bed. I've never seen someone fall asleep that fast. I swear he was snoring before his head hit the pillow. Now here's where things go sideways. The next morning, I got up around 9. I made a quiet breakfast and considered waking him. But I thought, why? He's finally got time to rest. Really rest. I let him sleep. Around noon, my parents dropped by unannounced. They visit me often since I'm pregnant and work from home. They came in, we chatted, had some coffee. Everything was fine, until my mom noticed my husband's truck in the driveway. Is he working from home today? She asked. No, he's sleeping, I replied casually. He's off for a few days. She looked at me, stunned. It's almost 12 and he's still in bed? I explained what he'd been going through. 3 weeks of 18-hour days, complete mental and physical exhaustion, how he'd helped avert a massive disaster at work, how he hadn't had a full night's sleep in weeks. Instead of understanding, my mom scoffed. That's no excuse. You're pregnant. You need help, not a husband sleeping until noon. He should be up and supporting you. I was stunned. I reminded her that I'm not bedridden. I'm perfectly capable of managing my home right now. My husband needed rest. That's all. She wouldn't let it go. She kept insisting I go wake him up. That it was unacceptable behavior for a man to sleep while his pregnant wife hosts visitors. That she didn't raise me to let a man be lazy. I told her no. Firmly. I explained again what he's been through and said I was letting him sleep until his body decided it was time to wake up. That's the least I could do after the hell he's been through. My dad was quiet, but I could see him nodding in agreement with my mom. And then she stood up and said, "If you won't wake him, I will." I blocked her from going upstairs. That was my breaking point. I told her point blank, if she couldn't respect my husband's need for sleep after everything he'd endured, then she needed to leave. That I wasn't going to let anyone disturb him, not even her. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. Are you kicking us out? Yes, I said. If you can't respect our home, or the man I love, then you're not welcome here right now. They left in a huff. Their entire visit lasted barely over an hour. At first, I felt okay with my decision. I even felt proud, like I'd stood up for my family. But then, around 3 p.m., the calls and messages started pouring in. My sister, my brother, extended family, all angry. How could you kick your parents out? They were just concerned for you. You're pregnant. You need help, not drama. You overreacted. Mom was just trying to help. Even after I explained the situation in full, many of them took my parents' side. They said I was being disrespectful, ungrateful, and cold, that I should have appreciated my mom looking out for me, That letting my husband sleep while they were visiting was inconsiderate, and sending them away was too extreme. Now I'm stuck in this emotional mess. Yes, I'm pregnant. Yes, I appreciate my parents caring about me. But what about my husband? What about what he's been through? Why is his health, his exhaustion, and his need to sleep suddenly less important because I'm carrying a baby? He's done everything right. He's worked himself into the ground for his job. For us. And he hasn't complained once. The one day he gets to sleep in, and I'm expected to drag him out of bed because my mom thinks it's improper? I'm sorry, but no. I don't buy it. I refuse to believe I was wrong for setting a boundary. And I refuse to apologize for protecting my husband's rest. But the guilt is creeping in. The noise from my family is making me doubt myself. So, am I the a-hole for not waking up my husband and kicking out my parents when they insisted on doing it themselves?